All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are doing well. Greetings. Let me know where you guys are coming in from. I'm just making sure that we're live. A lot of times, if you guys see me checking, it is a delay. So I just want to make sure that we are live and we are here and ready to get started. So drop in the city that you coming in from. And tonight, you guys, let me know what is one of your biggest credit problems that you have going on. Thank you for being here, Pamela, Miss Townsend. Thank you, Gina. Thank you for being here, Jay. Thank you here, Abby. Um, Everyone that's coming in, Melina. Thank you guys for coming in, and let me know what is your biggest credit issues right now. So I like to kind of gauge what's going on the ground and what you guys are experiencing, so I know where we can help. Diamond should be joining us in a few minutes. But one of the ways that we want to talk to you tonight on how to pay off your debts and boost your credit score. Because one of the biggest things that I'm seeing with people, with the high cost of inflation over the last couple of years, honestly, a lot of people been living or begin to start to purchase things on their credit cards because your pay is not keeping pace with the inflation, and it's really no fault of your own. So when they start putting a lot of stimulus into the economy, you might hear quantitative easing, and we've seen a lot of stimulus come in. Various, Trump administration uh, had some stimulus. Also, we saw the Biden administration; they also had some stimulus, and this all together, plus with the slowdown of the pandemic, the shutdowns of different uh, just jobs and businesses, and the supply chain with different products wasn't able to come and import across seas, and a lot of manufacturing has been offshore. In different countries, we see a high inflation just come in, and you can see it in your housing. We saw it in our food. The Everything doubled in price except for people's paychecks. So when they started to add more money into the system, if you were a person making $30 an hour, you actually needed a raise of $30, meaning making $60 an hour just to maintain the lifestyle you had prior to them putting more money in the system. So it led to a lot of people living off their credit card, and it was really sneaky the way that it came in. Thank you so much, Miss Murphy, for the super chat. I really appreciate you supporting the live. And she said, "Amen. My credit score has gone up. I gone up. Just need the student loans to go down." And that is another big factor, what she mentioned with the student loans. That's adding a lot more pressure because, that student loan forgiveness did not come in what a lot of people thought it would. And even pausing those payments during the pandemic, more debt was added on to people's student loans because of the interest. Deferment is different from forbearance. So, when you're dealing with deferment, it does stop some of the interest, but forbearance, you're just kind of kicking the can down the road. And a lot of people now, with those payments coming due, and the inflation and the credit card debt, it's really hurting a lot of families. And now it's almost at a breaking point for a lot of people. And we're starting to see dips in your credit scores because of that debt. And a lot of people are looking for relief and they can't really get it in personal loans because of the debt that you have showing on your credit report. A lot of times, the banks, depending on your debt to income, they might not want to give you that loan. So if you guys have been seeing that you're having a problem getting loans, that could be part of it because your debt to income. So I wanted to give you some strategies tonight on some things you can do about bringing down that debt. And I will share some tips on how you can rebuild your credit. I see that after the student loan defaults. So I'll make sure that we touch on all of that tonight. And so I'm starring you guys questions that's coming in, and we will address it. So for all of you guys that's coming in, I like to respect your time. One of the ways that you can, and I want you guys to consider, I know life is really hard and it comes at you fast, especially with you guys with the student loan issue. I want to try to give you relief. And some of the real relief when we're looking at it is our income. A lot of us need to make more income, but you don't have the time. And so trying to think about different ways of getting you not only to leverage the things that you have, different skill sets that you have. How can we right now try to monetize those things that you have at your disposal? And it's important more than ever because with us seeing some of this big, beautiful bill roll out, we see a lot of those programs have been cut back for housing, those on Section 8. Now it's been rolled back for 2 years, and there's a work requirement if you're able body, and those 2 years might not be enough time to really to get people on their feet the way they may need to for that support, and some of that help when it comes to food and in the Department of Food Stamps. A lot of that stuff is kind of being backed away. And so people really need some level of support. But unfortunately, if you're not thinking outside of the box and really working with what you have, maybe that help is not going to be there for you. And especially in a lot of the Medicaid programs, a lot of money has been kind of taken back, not so much Medicare, so that's a lot of a burden that's going to be added. So one of the ways of actually relieving yourself from some of your debt by going into leverage business activities for yourself. And one great thing I do love is the gig economy, thinking about that. When Diamond come up, we're going to go into that and talk about leveraging your skills, because a lot of you guys, if you have trouble credit, if you didn't know, if you know how to generate income, you have a lot of business fintech companies that will give you a loan. And if you set up right, it does not show on your personal credit. This is a strategy that even if you have very good credit right now, you might need to consider to think about that. Because even with your good credit, what a lot of people run into, your credit lines that you have, and when you start using those credit lines, you'll see your score dip because of your utilization. If you learn how to actually utilize business lines of credit, then that doesn't show up on your personal credit report. And then you don't have, just that big credit card debt. But we don't want to be illegal at the same time, just by getting business credit. But a lot of this stuff that you want to take advantage is in business. under a lot of times the Republican Party, you're going to see more tax breaks going towards businesses. So a lot of you guys that children may be approaching an age where they're graduating and you don't have those write-offs the way you used to, maybe starting some business activities may be the easy way for you to start gaining some of those tax breaks. And maybe you want to look into that. Just think about it. We can't control pretty much who gets into office. And in my 40 years of life and better, whether you like a party or not, a party is going to get into office. Like whether you feel you're a Democrat or a Republican, nothing is going to ever swing your way all the time. You're going to have different parties get into office, and you want to leverage yourself on both sides. That it doesn't matter who gets into office, you just start to change your behavior in order to benefit you in that time. So if you're a person with a job, a lot of times you might see under a Democratic government, you may see more policies that seem to benefit you. But if you're a business owner under the Republican, you may feel that you see more policies that benefit you. Using both sides. If you're a person with a job right now, you keep your job, but maybe start setting up business activities, even as being an independent contractor, doing other things, or even your passion of what you got going on already in your skill set. This now can create a business. No matter who get in office, you can take advantage of these tax breaks because you're never going to stop a party getting into office. And my motto is red or blue, neither is for you. I'm going to tell you right here, right now, neither party is for you. They're all for big corporations. That's who their constituents is. And one corporation support or corporate structures support this side and the other ones support that side. And at the end of the day, whatever policies are being put in place, it is to benefit one of those corporate standards. So you may see Democrats in office, you're going to see a lot of climate change because that's for green energy. You saw the big, beautiful bill. They removed a lot of those credits. That's why Elon is mad because, hey, he's a green guy. That's what Tesla is. So what you'll see a lot of this fighting is not about you. It's about them and their money. And so red or blue, neither is for you. They're all in the same gang, like that. Some because they'll say George Soros. Hey, oh, George Soros, he funds the Democratic Party. But Scott Bessent, the treasurer that Trump picked, that's George Soros' guy. He was actually in business with Soros. That's who put him in business. And he invested heavy in his investment company. So, and you saw this last thing with Trump treasurer pick, Mnuchin. He was also a George Soros guy. So it's political theater. A lot of times they do these talking points to get people all riled up. But at the end of the day, they're all benefiting corporations. So you can't control that. You want to wedge yourself to benefit yourself and your family. And like I said, it's less about what's going on in that White House and more about what's going on in your house. Let me say it again. It's less about what's going on in that White House and more about what's going on in your house. And more than ever, you need to start leveraging your unfair advantage. You need to start working with your family if you can. If not, just like with me, okay, maybe you can't control maybe your brothers, your sister, your mom, but you can Raise your children to cooperate with you. You can start doing things that you can do. Your children, right now, some of y'all kids are really talented when it comes down to technological things. These babies now can work some of these iPhones better than a 3-year old, better than you can. Don't discourage that. Start to see how you can invest and work with that. And so we're going to need that moving forward, because even with me, with Diamond, a lot of the technology, me being a Gen Xer, I depend heavily on her with the technology. And maybe some of us that's in an older category, we have wisdom, but we don't want to, like as Dave Ramsey, get what he called the butt and bottom syndrome, or powder and bottom syndrome, meaning you think you know more than your kids because you powdered their bottom. Sometimes they do have knowledge in a certain realm, and you have knowledge in a certain realm, and you want to try to work in community as much as possible, because we're going to need it moving forward. The wealthy is just getting wealthier. And if we don't start to strategize, a lot of us, a lot of our communities, and it's beyond black and white at this point. Of course, if you are somebody like me, a Black American, because we've been at a lower tier, a lot of times you're going to see it first, because it's, certain things systematically is already in place. But at this point, the wealth gap is getting so out of control, a lot of us are not going to be able to catch up. And unfortunately, I know we all want to relax, but you have to keep up with what's going on. I know I get tired of always, it's like you're always fighting. But if you can work together with your family, with your little tribe of people that you have, it can make it easier, because you're not working alone. You're not working by yourself. So one of the things that we did, I see Diamond, are you ready to come up so we can, she's coming to the stage. One of the things that we did was I started working in field inspections. And Diamond herself, later on, once she got her license, she started working with me in field inspections. We would work in tandem. Actually, Diamond, you can tell about your experience in college with the field inspection.
I think it was before college too, maybe a little in
Yeah.
high school, probably my senior year around that time, where my mom, she started to do the inspections, and she would come home, she would go out into the field, and then she trained me on how to update the reports and how to do the reports. And then she would pay me per report. I forgot how much she paid me every report. It was probably like $5, something like that, to do the uploads. But so first it went from uploading to, then she started to give me some of her work, because she was getting a lot of work at the time from many different areas. And she was just training me on how to perform the field inspections. And it became like a family business. So she would go out, do half, I would go and do half. And that was able to generate more money. And we found a structure that worked, a pay structure. And then we went from just doing the mortgage inspections and the loss draft and loss control inspections to going on to the grass cuts. And that became a family business that we did with my grandfather and my cousin. And I would write the routes. My mom would get the orders and deal with the people, do the negotiations if they needed to be paid more. She was really the spearhead of that, and I would do more of the assistant work. My grandfather would go out and do the grass cuts with my cousin, and he handled that sector of it. But we made a lot of money doing that, and then there was other sectors of it. But the point is that we came together to, number one, be able to expand to other counties, to just be able to expand our reach within the state, and to be able to pull in more money. So yeah, that was the experience.
And one of the things where we bringing it back to pay off debts, when you're working, because like she said, she was actually in high school. And I was already doing a lot of things, so I would be tired. I passed my phone on to her. And one thing I always said, that with my family, you know, oh, someone said they joined, trying to join the elite credit system. Good night. I joined the elite credit system, but it doesn't work. Well, make sure you join. If you still are part of the elite credit system, make sure you're joining us on our meetings. We had my meeting today and I'm always there. And sometimes what it is with people, if you're not tapping in, maybe you're not getting the information that you need. So one thing we do say about the system, and this is what we're talking about tonight, you want to utilize everything that is available to you to take advantage of what you really have available to you. So if you join the elite credit system, you guys got me one-on-one. And if you ain't take advantage of that, you might have to think about your perspective. And one of the things with the elite credit system, if you have access to me, then I can look into your own particular situation. So this is why we're encouraging you even tonight. You want to think outside the box. Start to see, if you have children. I was tired. I passed the phone over to her. I let her finish it. And what happened is I was able to make more income because I can go ahead and adjust my attention to other things. For her, I made sure, because she was a teenager, I still paid her. And that's another thing that we have to think about. So it brought more income in. I was able to pay off debt to make more money, but your family can be incentivized too. And so one of the ways that I know Diamond love, if you guys have your talents, learn how to use some of these platforms now. Technology is out here. And just being an independent contractor, that can lead you to business credit. Some of Diamond, if you can drop some of the links. One of the ones that I shared, unfortunately, my video got taken down. YouTube is doing a lot at this point, especially when it comes with numbers. But you, if you're in the gig economy, if you're independent contractors, you have loans that you can tap into, and they can give you, one of them, up to $20,000. And it is without a hard inquiry and with no credit check. You can do it even with bad credit. You can get a $20,000 loan. And what they will look at, your income that's coming in from that gig work, even if you're doing Uber Eats, even if you're doing DoorDash, a lot of y'all driving Uber, you can get access to these loans, or anything that you're doing as an independent contractor, Upwork, things that you're already doing along with your talent. This can open up you a loan where you can then turn around and put it on your personal debts. Now, here's the key. Before you take that loan and put it on your personal debt, if you got a credit card and you're just starting, maybe start using that credit card, because if you're an independent contractor doing business under your name, any of those debts that you're getting on your personal credit card in business, now you can pay some of that stuff off on your personal credit card. You can take that business and then put it on your personal credit card. And by paying those loans over here, you can see your credit score increase by accessing that, because you're bringing down your utilization. And with a lot of these loans, they're reporting to your business credit report. They don't report to you. So that can be a thing. And somebody dropped, can you please explain what a field inspection? Diamond just recently did a video. Diamond dropped that link, and I'm going to let you explain what a field inspector is, so people can understand and know what the field inspector is.
Yeah, so like she just said, I just dropped the video and I'll put a link here in just a moment. So a field inspector is someone that goes out in the field for insurance companies, for mortgage companies, for lenders, and they check on either the condition of a property, whether that be their focus is on hazards and things of that nature that are going on with the property for insurance purposes, or they're looking for occupancy checks, so whether that house is vacant or not. And what you do as a field inspector, you get the order when you're working with these companies, and you're usually working as a 1099 contractor. So you might be working with multiple companies, and you're either doing this on the residential, meaning like homes, regular homes, or you might be doing this on the commercial, meaning businesses that you might have to go in and check on. But when you are doing it on either side, the residential side, you would go to that property. You would either have a quick interview, or sometimes on the business side, you're having a more extensive interview with the owner or the supervisor of that business. You're taking photographs of the property, anything that would indicate that there are hazards there, recommendations that they should be fixing, anything of that nature. And then you're going to go back and fill out a survey and submit the work. And that's pretty much the scope of the job. Mom, if I'm leaving anything important out, please do chime in on that.
And
Well,
you did a great explanation. And I see Evelyn, she was saying field inspections, don't know if they have them in California. Finding the companies to do the work is tough. I'm sorry, it just moved. Is a tough part. Does your field inspection book have companies in out California? And yes, it does. One thing I want you guys to understand about field inspections, remember, field inspections is pretty much in every industry all around you, but you don't even know it. And some of you that are homeowners, you've been contacted by your insurance company. Every year, your policy renew, your agent contact you and say, hey, is somebody that's going to come out and take pictures of the home. Or if you got a new policy, they may say, hey, you're going to see somebody come out and take measurements and take pictures of the home. That's a field inspector. So what a field inspector is the eyes and ears for these companies. It's going to be in insurance, also lending for equipment, even for cars. If you're behind on your car payment and you ever experience that, you might have a letter on your door. And that's a field inspector doing that. They're coming out to serve you. And that's on the banking and lending side. And you even have it in the mortgage industry. And so you can decide where you would like to work as a field inspector. Now, with me, I did multiple types of inspections, but some people just like to focus on a certain industry. Because if you have things like mortgage inspections, there's a large volume, but the coverage that you have, it can expand out depending on the companies that you're working with. And with those inspections, they have a really short completion time. It might be 3 days, 7 days is stretching it. But when you have it in the insurance industry, you might have 30 days to complete that inspection, but you might not have the volume that you would have on the mortgage side. So a lot of people enter in on the mortgage side because you get that instant volume. But when it comes down to the insurance side, you might have to work with multiple companies. But to answer your question, there's field inspections in all 50 states, and actually some territories, even in the Caribbean and all these other places. And Diamond, one of the companies you're working with, even internationally. So when you're looking at insurance companies, why it's really important for insurance companies, imagine if an insurance company, you get a say a home right now, homes are close to $1 million. Say in California, the average home might be 700 and something $1,000. Imagine an insurance company put a policy on their home. You go call up an agent and they can just write a policy. How about if that home already had fire damage? Do you know how many people don't have insurance and then run out and get it after something happens? It happens all the time. And not to defer the topic, I saw with the floods going on in Texas, that one area flood were known to flood, around the Guadalupe River. And a lot of those people didn't have flood insurance because they couldn't afford it. It was very expensive because it's a flood zone. So that's one of the things that a field inspector go out to do. You go and see the home, and you're working for the insurance company to make sure that it's not already fire damage or not already have the roof caved in, because you'll be surprised. People do that all the time. So before that policy can fully be enforced, they have to have someone to go out and look to make sure it's not damaged. So hopefully that give you guys perspective on how needed the industry is. So one thing it is your own business, so you want to handle it as such. It's not a job. It is your own business, but you're an independent contractor. And depending on your client, because I want you to get the right mindset. A lot of people, if you coming from a work standpoint, it takes a while to hit that switch. And Diamond can say that with me. This is why we like gig work. A lot of people, because that gig work is that little hybrid of having a job, but opening your mindset up to working on your own, set in your own schedule. And you need to understand, like when you're doing field inspections, those are not your bosses, those are your clients. And you would treat your client differently because it's like your car or your home. It's different from renting an apartment and owning an apartment. It's different from driving a car on Turo that is somebody else's and when it's your car. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same attitude that you want to have when you're an independent contractor. This is going to be your business. It's your profession. So Diamond, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I wanted to say that a lot of people, especially coming out of the traditional work, they have one of the most difficult times when it comes to setting their own schedule. So everyone says, like, I want to be in charge of my own time. I want to have financial freedom. I want to have freedom of time. And then sometimes they get there and that actually is a big obstacle for them. They're not used to having to control their own time. They're not used to having to set their own prices, to negotiate and speak up for themselves in certain ways. And so you have to be able to differentiate from when you are giving your time for money versus when you're giving your value for money. And you have to look at things in a value aspects. So one of the ways that I made that switch was when I first started doing DoorDash, when it first really came out. I was one of the first DoorDashers out there in the state of New Jersey. And it really shifted my perspective where I wasn't just looking at, okay, this order is $10. Look, I was looking at it hourly. How much can I make per hour? But instead looking at how much is it going to cost me in gas? How much of my time? Am I going to be aggravated? Do I even want to be in this area, this region? And you have to think of all those different things and think of your value. And would I spend 30 minutes doing this? And maybe I could have had 2 different orders in the same amount of time and got more money. And so you do have to make that switch and learn how to set a schedule for yourself, learn how to be very organized with your time. And going into the gig work is one of those switches that you have to make to turn you from somebody that's an employee to your own boss. So I just wanted to add that.
And that's a awesome perspective. And the reason why, even with leveraging to pay off your debts, many of you guys are really talented. And I'm going to say all of you guys are talented. But I think what a lot of people, because when you work a job and you're on a position, sometimes you don't understand the value you're really bringing to a corporation, or the full extent of what you're doing. And a lot of these things, you guys are so talented. If you're in healthcare, you're just I one Rose was in, and this is what led me. Diamond Rose said hi when Rose was there today in the meeting, and that's what we were talking about, because she's talented, just things in her business. A lot of people are so super talented, but she asked a question about, she's an educator and just trying to ways that she wanted to invest. And one thing to share with her, she was in education, a teacher, and create things. And I shared about how Diamond worked for a nonprofit in Newark. It was a charter school, and what she was able to do was teach a class and get paid for teaching her passion that she has in fashion. And so a lot of you guys have a lot of things that's valuable, but because if you always had assignments or a position, you don't see the value you can really bring to other people. There's so many things that if you monetize that, now you have these platforms. Like I said with her, you look on YouTube, Diamond to tell you, my daughter, Hope, my youngest, she likes super samba, super samba. That's a YouTube creation. Tabitha Brown now have a kids show. She has such a beautiful personality. A lot of you guys are educators. There's people that actually are doing speech therapy online, doing videos for kids. And Diamond will tell you, I bought Hope this little learning tree, and I paid like $135. And it was just like one of these jewelry things, the plastic one. And they had little where you can buy it even from China, just little dolls or little things like honey pots, and for the sounds that they made. And I paid like $135 for that, but my daughter loves it because that person is a speech therapist. They know how to educate. There could be some things that you guys can be creating products because you know your industry. If you're a teacher, you know what children respond to. You have the experience of being an educator, maybe even setting up a lot of people that want to be a home, educate their children at home. Can you set up things that are as a subsidy to that? Can you subsidize that? Or Diamond friend that she lived next to, her kids, she would take them with other homeschool moms. Maybe you can do a program where they can have outings for homeschool kids. Maybe you can do a program like that. Diamond, remember, I used to take Faith to the park and pay for a program. It was people using the park, remember Possum Town Park, drop her off there for $60. You guys can do a lot of things in the industry that, and the knowledge that you already in, but people kind of negate that. And that can be a way where you can use platforms now to make more income while you're working your job. It's just thinking outside the box. And this can give you access to capital that you never even thought of, where while you at work, you're increasing your hourly pay because you have something going now that you're not exchanging your time for money. And you want to get away from that. And I know it's a hard concept, but exchanging time for money is like going to work. Instead of, maybe you start driving Uber, then maybe you invest and turn around and get a car and put it on a Turo platform or a hire car. Because now, instead of you actively doing the driving, trying to make money, the car is making money for you without you driving it. So just thinking outside of the box to increase your income, and just by you guys starting a little business or doing independent contracting, this give you access even in your personal life for more capital. So instead of now I make 60,000 a year, that extra 20, I made 80,000 now. I can add that part of my income on that application. That might be the difference between you getting actually approved for a home or something that you really need, even an apartment, whatever that you're trying to do. So, Diamond, yeah, come in. I know you definitely.
I wanted to, well, keep your mic on, Mom, because I don't want to butcher this information. I don't know if you have more information on this. In terms of on the topic of education, really quickly, because number one, I see a lot of people going more so towards homeschooling, especially in the South, where they want their children to be at home. They don't like the type of curriculums and the things that are being pushed or displayed in schools. And if I'm not mistaken, I know my pastor was talking about this, but I don't want to butcher the information. So if anybody has more information, please put it in the comments. But there was a bill passed called School Choice.
Oh, yeah, school choice. Yeah, that's where you get the charter schools.
Where
Yeah.
you get, okay, right. And so people can choose to have their taxes allocated to the school of their choice rather than having to stay in the district that they're in. Is that correct? I just want to make sure.
So, and you might remember on Park Avenue, it was that school, and it was a Jewish school. So when you live in a township, if your kid is not going there, yeah, your tax dollars have funds. And even with busing and stuff, you can get that money yourself to help educate your kids in different types of ways. So a lot of those schools that are being built that you see, maybe religious background schools, the Jewish community is a big one that they build their own schools, especially in New Jersey. Yeah, they tap into some of that funding. You know what I'm saying? So even you, if you're an educator, it might be programs like School Choice, like saying that you can tap into to run your own programs.
Yes, and I was thinking about the opportunity in that. The discussion we were having was a little bit of the worry about what would happen to schools that were already, lacking in funding, were already lacking in attendance, and now those people can choose to take their tax dollars and go into better schools, and then these schools would lose funding. But the opportunity that I've seen is people that are starting those more religious schools, or what is it called? Montessori, not Montessori. It's a specific word for special types of schools that do different types of learning for children.
Yeah, that's Montessori. And it's more like, tangible, because they even have, and Montessori toys is another big thing. Like Hope with the tissue paper. Remember, I got that it was a tissue box, and it makes the crunchy sound. So it's learning through the senses.
Yeah. And so I was thinking about how this could create an opportunity where in the education space, again, people can start building those nonprofit, and that might give more opportunity to nonprofits where they can get more governmental funding and people can start putting their tax dollars there. But also, I have a client that I'm working with, and she's been working on this specific curriculum to teach kids more in emotional intelligence, AI, and forecasting intelligence, very specialized curriculum, and getting those things funded into the schools. And I could imagine that the schools that may be afraid of losing funding can start tweaking their curriculum in a way where they would want to stand out from other schools and have a reason for parents to come back into those schools and to put their tax dollars there. And so the opportunity there is building different curriculums if you have specializations in certain areas, and licensing those curriculums out, even putting patents if you have really specialized information, and getting funding in those areas. So I just want to speak on that when it comes to education, that things that sometimes we could be afraid of, you know, when it comes to changes and it seems worrisome, there are still opportunities there in those sectors.
And that's a great thing, and this is what we're talking about. A lot of you guys, as you're doing your position, you know better than anybody else where you can improve in a certain area, whether it's healthcare, education. We have one person in our group, and she will work with people. I believe it was what was that, rehabilitation. And when we really got down to it, she understood the root cause was a lot of their diet, their lifestyle. And she actually had already identified ways that the people that she were dealing with had a common a reason by getting there. And a lot of you guys see that in your industries, no matter what it is, because you're actively doing it. You already know what it takes to make it better. And a lot of times you're in a corporate setting and you might be given those ideas to your corporate. A lot of it, you know how to make it better, but because of their structure on how they make money, you might feel like you're not being heard or you're being ignored. Maybe you should come up with a niche in order to feel that, to make it better. That's what you call innovation. That is what innovation is about. And so I know with me, and Diamond can share too, that's why the field inspections was such a blessing to me. I got to see different businesses and how they operated. And I would say, this business model is something I can incorporate with what I'm doing. A lot of you guys already are in a system and you're so talented. It's the business model that's not allowing you to grow. And it's really not the business's fault. Sometimes us even running a business, like we will tell you, we don't do credit repair. That is something that we just don't do because there's certain things that come along with it. But you have to focus on a business, sometimes the niche down. A lot of people want to do a lot of things, and you might be very talented, but sometimes you have to develop this one product, and then like Apple had to first develop their computer, and then they can come up to the next generation products like the iPad, and they moved on to that iPhone. But sometimes you just can't start off, I'm going to make the iPad, the Mac, the this. You can't do that. Sometimes you have to do one product that is the core of your income, and then they can invest and develop and marketing for another product to see if it's valuable to bring usefulness to people. And so we're just saying to you guys that your income, the root cause of your debt problems, is just not generating enough income. Because I never met a person that would not just pay their bills because they didn't feel like it. A lot of times it's like, and y'all have been there, I don't have it. I lost my job. My spouse got sick, and he couldn't work. I'm trying to carry everything. So if we can start trying to leverage ways, and we want to just put that out there for you, you can get access to other funding because you have started a business. We don't want you to leave your jobs. I would never just tell somebody, I didn't do that, to jump in the water. Now, some of you guys just have that go in you. Some people have that talent, but we all, what would you say, Diamond? We're learning from where we at. We all don't know it all. We're living this life. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes for the first time,
yes,
you gotta give yourself grace where you are. And a lot of people can beat up on themselves and say, boy, if I would have known then what I know now. Well, you got to give yourself grace. You're just living this life once, and we all are learning as we go. But one of the things we want you to do is to our aim is not to make your life harder. but to make it easier. And you might not do everything that we suggest, but it might open your mind up to something even better. And I'll land here and to let Diamond expand on it. But I tell everybody, y'all don't need $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
All you need is one good idea. The difference from you and Bill Gates or you and Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos is one idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So a lot of times we focus on money. Focus on the idea. It's in you. You know how to solve problems. Believe in yourself. Because if you didn't have value where you're working now, they wouldn't have hired you.
Yep.
Trust me, they saw something on that application. I don't care if you cooking fries at McDonald's, which you may feel is the lowest ranks of life. And I don't see it like that because you're learning a life skill. But if you feel like I'm doing the lowest thing, if you were hired, you beat some folks out. Okay. You beat somebody out, and it was something that they saw in you that made that value. You dictate your pay. You dictate your pay. You dictate your pay by the value you bring to the market. So nobody can cap your pay. And if you think like that, it's money moving all around you. Step outside of your wherever you live right now. Look to the left and look to the right. Baby, I don't care if it's land all around you. Look how much that land costs. A lot of that is millions of dollars. If you're in the hood, I come from Newark, New Jersey. I don't care. I was in the hood when we had neighborhood, not just hood, where you had neighbors, owners. You look around, you're looking at close to $1 million on this side and that side. There, if you turn on an abundant mindset, you'll start seeing things differently. Don't see lack even in you. Don't see negative in yourself, because it's so much. I want to kind of build you guys up because it's so much negative out here. It's ridiculous. But it's lack where people see positive things about yourself. And we just want you to take account of what you said. I love the one scripture about the Bible, with the widow, and she lost her bracelet, or she lost one of those charms that was like their retirement. And when she suffered loss, she swept and got her house in order. Maybe you need to just sweep out some of those negative thoughts and look what God put in your house. What do you have to work with? Maybe you just need to organize all your skills and talents. That's all a business is an organization of different activities. And you know how to solve somebody's problem. The bigger the problem that you solve, the more pay is in it. You're at that job and that position because you're solving their problem, whether you know it or not. Go ahead, Diamond. I'll let you go. I don't want to take up all the life.
No, that's good. That's good. It goes right into something I wanted to point out, even when it comes to, because it's a nice topic, paying off debts and boosting your credit score. Sometimes we could get so stuck in that process only, but there's no way to dig yourself out of that hole without making more income. And so in the pursuit of paying off your debts and doing things like boosting your credit score, you have to be putting money aside for investments. You have to put money aside and investments can be whatever your investment of choice is, whether it's stocks, whether it's land, whether it's real estate. Even education is an investment, making sure that you invest into yourself so that you can garner more skills. Because right now, though gig economy is good, the gig economy still requires you for you to trade your time for money, yet and still. So you're still in this place of you can't earn enough because you can't multiply yourself enough. And so you have to be putting money aside, not just to pay off your bills and to pay off your debts, but so that you could expand, so you could go beyond just paying those things, or else you're going to continuously to be in this cycle. So wanting to speak to investing in your skill sets. You have to, how many of y'all, put a 1 in the chat if y'all have been to college and you have a degree already? Because something that you were saying, Mom, about the specializations, if you guys been to college, you know that that's called having a major and having a minor, right? And most degree programs require that if you have a major, say you're majoring in business, you have to have a minor in something. So that means that you have a broad aspect and a broad knowledge of something, but you also have a minor that is supposed to be a specialization to make you stand out. And so you want to still think about that in the same way, that once you went to school, you got the degree, but your education isn't over. So whether that's doing online things, picking up skills in AI, picking up skills that you won't be so replaceable, and that you can stay adaptable so that you can create a business, or so that you can open up larger opportunities for yourself to earn more money, so that you're not just paying off debt and just trying to boost your credit score just so that you get more debt, but that you're going beyond to garner more investments. There is a website called Course Careers, and they have a bunch of different specializations, even in supply chain management, which is my major. Supply chain management, they have an accounting and finance, and these different things that you can get certified in, because even when you are putting out a resume, you need to have some type of certification. The competition is heavy. You have to, having a bachelor's degree at this point isn't enough. That's like the average. That is the expectation. You need to have some type of something that sets you apart from other people. And a quote that I heard, and it stuck with me, is that luck is only opportunity meeting preparation. So you want to be in a state of preparing, so that when the opportunity presents itself, that you would be ready to jump on that opportunity. So I would just encourage people to not just set aside money to pay your debts, but even if it's only $5 a month, if that's all that you could afford, to start storing money away to invest in yourself, to start storing money away to invest in the stock market, to put money away to own a property, to purchase land, to do something where you don't have to trade your time for money, or you can up your skill level, therefore upping your value within the marketplace and going forward. So even me, I'm a social media influencer. That's my career. That's my job. And even in this aspect and in this space, there are people that are younger, more creative, that are smarter. They have a blueprint in front of them with what was successful and what wasn't. If we don't continue to elevate, if we don't continue to learn, we would also be priced out of the market. It's stressful, but it's life. And so you kind of just have to go with the flow of being, God made us. The one thing I keep saying is that the best ability that God has given us is adaptability. So we're able to adapt to new environments. We're able to adapt to new changes. So though these things are coming fast, you have to be able to stretch, be flexible, adapt, continue learning, continue growing in your skill sets, continue investing in yourself and your knowledge, putting money away in places where your money will grow for you, so that you don't always continue in this rat race. So as I was saying, even me as a social media influencer with a degree in business administration and a degree in supply chain management, I'm still looking to expand my education to project management with a specialization in digital marketing. So these are the things that you guys need to be looking forward to, that you continue to up your skill level, because even in the things that you think like, oh, well, I know this already, it's already changed. It's a new system. There's something else to learn. So I just want to encourage y'all to go ahead and make sure that you are continuing to invest into yourself, and not just paying bills, but to grow.
And one of the things to invest in yourself is your name. Invest in your credit.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I love, that Bible scripture, a good name is better than silver and gold. A lot of you guys, invest in your credit, invest in your name, invest in your peace. Some of you guys are busy taking care of other people, and this is why lack come on to you. A lot of you guys are very good at taking care of others, but you're not good at taking care of yourself. I'm or maybe I'm preaching to myself, child. I'm preaching I'm preaching to me. But you can be that type of person, which I am. And if you're not careful, you don't invest in your peace. You don't. Sometimes You got to give yourself permission, if you're not a selfish person, to be selfish. And sometimes you got to focus on your own financial situation. You can't help your kids all the time. I can't help my mama right now. I can't help Pookie and Ray Ray and whoever acting a fool. I have to focus on my investing in my peace, and that might to cut y'all off right now because you're doing way too much, aka you moved to too muchville and you need to move back. So right now I can't do it. And you might have to invest in your peace so you can invest in your credit. You can invest in you. A lot of us thinking like it's just education alone. No, you might have to just cut some folk off, because a lot of y'all, it could be people robbing you out of your peace where you can't focus on yourself. You can't focus on you. And you know, the Bible talk about it's the little foxes that spoil your vine. It could be the little things that you're giving $20 over here. I'm buying Popeyes for my grandkids because some of us got grandkids. I don't, but my daughter not doing right with the babies, and you giving so much of yourself that that's what's eroding your finances. And now with this like high cost of living, you don't have the wiggle room that you might feel that you used to. And you might have to take care of you. And somebody said invest in growing your LLC, and you need to. And you can't invest and grow in your business if everybody is pulling at you. Sometimes you need to be able to sit in your tub, turn off your phone, and take care of you. And that's investing in your credit. Like, okay, I got to cut this out. I got to invest in my budget. I got to leave that alone. I got to focus on me. And you should not feel guilty about that. Everybody need now. Like everybody got an issue going on. So if you're not careful, everybody issue is pulling at you, but you'll see them in the Bahamas. Cause girl, I see that all the time. Like, first of all, Diamond, let's talk about it. And y'all got it on y'all timeline too. Why the most brokest people at Beyonce concert? Girl, now ain't the time. It be the ones with their life the most in shambles. Is sometimes, I'm not saying everybody going to Beyonce concert is in shambles, but it be a lot of people. We be like, hold on, what? Hold on. Didn't you get $20 from me the other day? I'm just telling y'all, some of these people, y'all, if you keep running in, curing their problems, they're not going to ever stop. And sometimes you just got to tell people, I ain't got it. Okay. Even if you got it, I just don't got to give you right now. And they just got to learn how to hit the wall. And you just got to leave it alone. And somebody said priorities are screwed up. A lot of people, priorities are screwed up. That's the model for this year. Their priorities are screwed up. And it will look like a dire situation. Yes, a lot of people are, but sometimes they got to learn how to go to the horns of the altar themselves. As my spiritual mother would say, Prophetess Loretta Douglas, people make you their God instead of going to God. And you got to watch that. They can be the reason, you could be the reason why they don't have a relationship to God, because instead of going to God, they go to you. Okay. And now I have seen so many of my good friends and y'all see it too. The best people, the most given people you have seen died early, and you sit there and wonder why. And a lot of that is because all that stress of taking care of everybody but themselves, stress will take you up out of here early. And so now is the time for you guys to work with people you can. Look at what you have. Have hope. Number one, what I told you the other day, Diamond, I said, hope is frail, but it's hard to kill. Sometimes that's why I wanted to give y'all hope tonight, because me and her, I thank God for Diamond. And I know she thank God for me. Lord God. Because sometimes we'll be down. We be like, my little video got taken down. I was like, man, they done took my video. I put some time. Your creative thing, and you can be like, dang, this is very disappointing. And sometimes you guys, you have to connect with other positive people. That's where I see Miss Miller. Love Miss Miller to life. She's in our group, one of the most positive people that you can connect to. And that's why even with the group, it's about sometimes connecting with other like-minded people. You guys, it just keep you encouraged. A lot of people, this is what your faith is about. This is why you go to church. It's not that, hey, you're just connecting with other people, because the worst place to be when you're feeling down is alone, because you'll never get out of that funk. If you don't, sometimes we just don't have it. Let's just admit, you ain't got to be strong all the time. And a lot of times with the Black community, we're always trying to be strong. Like, I got to be strong. Or if you're part of a minority group, trying to be strong. But sometimes you need other people to pick you up. So this is why we say, invest in yourself. Invest in your peace, no matter what your situation look like right now. Like Diamond was saying, to make preparations. I love the book of Isaiah where it says, expand your tent, all you ye barren. You expand your tent, all ye barren. Meaning I don't have no kids. I'm in this small tent. I don't have children, but expand your tent. Make preparations. Have hope. A lot of y'all with somebody dropped their LLC, expand your tent. Yes, start to invest in your LLC. Start to invest in your business plan. Start to do research. And start investing in you. Invest in your credit. This is why we're talking about this business activity, because you just start in that business the way business credit work in that industry. Unlike personal credit, they ask you how much you make a year, like how much your household is. They allow you to put projected income. So if I'm starting a trucking company, the average trucking company makes $2 million a year. So you could put down your projected income, and they can decide from that point how much of a credit card that they can give you. So just by starting to focus on yourself, focus on your peace, this may give you access to the income and the funding that you're really looking for, just by changing your perspective and investing in yourself. Invest in your peace, number one. And it's just time. Everybody is going to have problems. As long as people live, Jesus said the poor will be with you always. Okay. So you can't just cure the world. Sometimes your best avenue is to build an ark for you. Noah couldn't think about everybody else. Some people, I'm sorry to say, is just going to drown. I'm just saying. And I'm not trying to be, because they don't choose to do what's right. You can give them the best information, but they just might not receive it until it's too late. And you need to make your financial ark for you and your family, whoever that is. That's what you got to do. And number one, you have to prepare for you. You got to prepare for yourself. So it is so much easier to borrow $50,000 than to try to work and save for it. Catch it. It is so much easier to borrow $50,000 than trying to work and save for it. So I just want to give you that idea. Also, you can have some credit lines, because I want to give you tangible things. Diamond, drop that. If you already have struggling with credit, to balance it out, you can use Yendo. Yendo is a credit line. It can go up to $10,000 by leveraging your car. Now, as I taught you guys, banks only trust you as far as the last bank trusts you. So you want to be careful with Yendo because it is going to attach to your car as a credit line, but there's no hard inquiry. It's what they're going to look at is your income, and the average to get approved, they're looking about 60,000 a year, wink wink, and they will look at your car, and you can get a credit line to report on your credit report, and they're securing it with your vehicle. Yes, it's a line of credit. I would not go crazy by pulling that money off, but if you got another car maybe sitting around, maybe that's a way that if that car is paid off, even if you got payments, to access that, if it's to pay off some really high interest credit card debt. Like I said, I got a Chase Reserve Sapphire Reserve card. That interest is really high on that card, 26%. I think Yendo interest is around there. But if you have a business idea, you have trouble credit, that might be a way to help balance out that debt that's on your credit report to help boost. You still got to play with those numbers. Any card that's close to being maxed out, you got to pay it down to see your score go up. By adding that line of credit, though, can help increase your credit score and help with your utilization. So you don't have all this maxed out. Now you got a freed up line of credit. So that can be an option, but it does have an annual fee of $49 a month. So that could be an option for you to look at Yendo. And that can actually access if you need it. I don't want you to, because they're not looking to take your car. That's what they say. But you don't want to risk your vehicle if you don't have to. This can be a line of credit that you can add on. And if you go get another credit card to help and boost your credit score, if you get that $4,000 to $7,000 to go up to 10, that will encourage the next bank to possibly increase your lines of credit. And you can get out of those little small baby credit cards. And if you have something in business you might want to do, you can access some of those funds just on the personal side. So that can be a good way to help you. But I want y'all to do all these things carefully. If you can get a partner, if you can get a friend, somebody that's serious, we want y'all to still connect, work together. Look, take account in your house, your skill set, your mind, take account of that, your peace. That is very, because you cannot think with chaos going around you. They tell you, number one, if you're on a plane, when they tell you that, don't put that mask on that child. Put it on yourself. Some of y'all need to resuscitate yourself. You're about to fall out because you're tired. You're spiritually tired. You're mentally tired. You're just tired of life. You're drained. You might have to put that mask and say, hey, I got to revive myself, because if you don't, and this is what they're saying when you're drowning, if you're not, everybody might go down if you're not strong. You know what I'm saying? So you might, take care of yourself. Take care of your mind. I believe there's spiritual powers, and the devil might be attacking you because you are the hope. Honestly and truthfully, you might be the assignment. It might be looking like this person acting the fool, but baby, the assignment could be you. Okay, because as my spiritual mother say, the devil already got them. He might not got you all the way. You might be the last hope, child. And that's why you got to leave other folks alone. Sometimes they got to eat the fruit of their own decisions. And I just give an example. I had 3 brothers. I mean, I got two, it's 3 of us. I had 2 brothers. And sometimes your parents, I know I came from an age where they'd get at them. My mama definitely with a belt. You jump over there, ma, stop. You getting all kind of licks for your sibling that you shouldn't even got. You have to back up. Y'all ever had that? Your mom, and you go on and get them. No need for me to get that lick, because some people, you know, your mama was determined to get them anyway. You getting hit by the belt ain't help them. They gonna get the lick. Let folks get their lick. Let them get their lick. You ain't got to be wept up. You ain't got to have that wep there. You ain't got to be sore. Let them get their lick, and you go on and have your peace. You go on and sit down. You need to do that because you're one idea away from being Elon Musk money. And that's what a lot of these things are pulling at you, so you don't get there. Just detach and take care of yourself. Invest in you. I don't know why that came out of me. I think that's a season for all of y'all. And somebody said NAV and Credit Strong for business. Those are good ones. NAV and Credit Strong. And if you already have a business, another one is Fair Figure. If you guys are already making money, Fair Figure is a good one because the monthly amount that they require you is like $2,500 a month that you make, and you can get even loans. A lot of these companies will look at the income that you're making. On what's another one? I have Fair Figure, Build, which is also known as Divvy, is another good one. I'll drop that for you guys. You can look into, but a lot of them at least want you to be in business for 30 days or well, actually 90 days, 3 months. And ROK Finance, that is another one. You can look to them and they can get you business loans. But the important is, if you have troubled credit, start making money. Start generating business income. And if you're already doing those gig, DoorDash and things like that, you can look into Fundo and Giggle Finance right now. Okay. So hopefully that helped you guys to look at things a different way and a different objective, because your debts from your credit card, I know everybody here that got credit card debt, if you had it, you would pay it. And the problem is you don't have it. So we want to try to get you guys to try to get it. And somebody said another hack is the 80-day paydebts with Sam's Clubs and the MasterCard with 20K no PG. And that is another one with Sam Club. The only thing, you guys, make sure you take time to get that 80-day, that 80 payback score. That's going to be through your Duns and Bradstreet. And a lot of times, like she's saying, you want to get those merchant accounts. If you, even with the GM business credit card, you can tap into that, but they're going to look at those business credit scores. So we want to get you guys to start building business credit. And a lot of times, if you want to build business credit, you want to look at certain institutions, because it is different between getting business funding and building business credit. Okay. To build business credit, there's difference. Like Navy Federal, everybody love them on the personal side, but they do not report on the business side to the business credit bureaus. So it will be like somebody actually recently hit me up and was like, I've been banking for years and found out my business, I have no business credit. I've been at Navy Federal. And you want to strategize the right way to get that. And some of the best banks in order to do that is going to be Chase, Capital One. Unfortunately, I don't like Capital One that great. Capital One and Citibank. Those are kind of the best ones that's going to hit all of them. American Express report to the Small Business Financial Exchange, but there people say it's a credit bureau. It's really not a credit bureau. It's a nonprofit kind of way for small business, but really focusing. But those banks Except for Capital One, if you got lower credit scores, the big banks is not going to be the place to go. You want to leverage some of the fintech that I named. Also, the young lady that said how to increase her credit score after you guys took that hit from your student loans, the one that I gave you was Yendo. That could be a good option because if you're under a 700 credit score, by adding a line of credit, you can see an increase to your score by 50 points or more. But you want to minimize getting those hard inquiries. So Yendo can be a good option. Also, Ava can be another good option. And even because there are no hard inquiry with Ava and they report pretty quickly. And also Rental Karma, adding on your, if you're renting currently, backdated rent. It can give you on-time payments for those missed payments that you have by reporting your rent on your credit report and your ongoing payments. So hopefully that'll help you guys if you need to increase your credit score. Diamond, if you want, you can go through the questions.
Yes, so we're going to go through some of the previous questions you guys had. If you have questions going forward, please do leave them in the comments section. Give me 1 second. So someone said, can you share about rebuilding credit after student loan defaults? I'm not sure if you touched on that before I got in.
I just answered her question, and that was the Yendo. So, Diamond, you got Yendo. You dropped that link, Yendo. Also, I'll put the other links I'm going to mention. So Yendo is a good one. That's the one with the $10,000 credit line that attached to your car. You can, like I said, increase your credit score by adding positive lines of credit. And also Rental Karma, that can help you with backdated payments from your rent, and they'll go all the way back since you lived there. So those missed payments that you had, now you can add more positive payments to help balance that out. So that's another option ongoing. And Ava reports a $25,000 line of credit up to, and also Grow. They do $1,800. So Ava and Grow. So you can use that. That's a line of credit. Now, those Ava and Grow do have monthly kind of fees, and you don't get access with those. Those are credit builders. You're not going to get access to the money. That is just going to connect to your utilities that you pay, and it reports as a line of credit. But with Yendo, you could get access to that money because it's really attached to your vehicle. So, and they report a line of credit for you. So that you just, like, I want to reiterate, just be careful with that. Okay. Just don't, you don't want to risk your car too much, but if you need to get the access to the money, that is the option.
Someone asked how to prioritize which credit card to pay off first. From Ms. Taylor.
The highest interest rates. You want to prioritize the card really with the highest interest rates. Well, let me back that up. Prioritize, number one, the cards that's maxed out. So we want to get that down. So if you got anything that's maxed out or being close to maxed out, let's try to get that down as soon as possible, because if you leave it that way, they'll start closing out your credit cards. Like other companies will see that you're in distress, or even that company. And even if you're paying the minimum, they'll close it out. And that's a whole nother big mess. Now you got to pay it off, because if y'all ever had that happen, they drop that credit line on you. And every time you pay it off, they keep dropping it because they pretty much closed it out. So prioritize whatever is maxed out or close to being maxed out. Then which card has the highest interest rate? Get that down quickly, because when it comes down to your credit cards, they are going by charging you daily interest off of the average daily balance of that card. So if you're getting paid, let's say every 2 weeks or every week, what I did to keep every paycheck, start paying something on that card that you can afford, and then make the minimum. And you'll be surprised how your card balances can come down. But focus on that. And some people do the avalanche effect, or the avalanche or the snowball effect. So starting with your smallest cards to pay those down first, and they find that that's more effective than your biggest uh you know lines of credit. If you got $10,000 versus the $300 credit card line, because it's, you complete something and it just gives you encouragement. Your mindset, oh, I paid down this one $300 credit card, and it motivates you. So those are your options. But for me, the highest interest credit cards, so you can get down that daily balance.
So someone asks, Charlotte, North Carolina, upside down in a car, how to get out of this trap? Can't refinance because the vehicle is too old.
A car, a lot of people, like, a car is a depreciating item, so it's not really unusual to be upside down in a car, because unfortunately it doesn't hold its value as a home. If I'm on the verge, let's say, of losing that car, and if you get a car repossessed, then that can cause you not to be able to get another vehicle. um I and say I can't refine it. I might try to put that car on Turo, hire car, and then make that car make money for me. I don't know how old the car is, if it's available for those platforms, and then maybe you can get you another car that's more reasonable if you can maintain your credit. But maybe putting that car on a rental platform and allow the car to not only make money for you, Diamond, if I'm not mistaken, hire car is for longer rentals where you can guarantee that in, versus Turo, you might not, daily get a rental. But I mean, I'm just saying, if you're asking me, what I would do is put that on the block and maybe give me another more affordable car, and to hold on to that car and to pay off, the car payment, but trying to maintain my credit, because it is just so hard. A lot of people talk about disputing, but nothing is guaranteed with disputing. And the best, what they say, the best thing is an ounce of prevention. If you can prevent getting negative things on your credit score, to me, that's the best out. And maybe the car can actually turn to an asset than a liability, and that might be a possible way.
Now, Leonard, your car, I don't know how old your vehicle is. Your car, if it's past maybe a 2009, for sure, probably around this time, 2010, for those websites, you might not be able to sign up. They want newer vehicles, like for Hierarch, when you're renting out a vehicle. But there is, as long as you have a 1992 or older, you might not want to do this, but what you could do, especially if you're doing gig work, there is a place called, let me get the name for you, but you can wrap your car. If you guys ever seen a car driving around with advertisements, and people get an average of $500 to $1,500, all the way to $5,000 a month just to put those advertisements on their car. So if you're really like, I'm really in need of the extra cash, get your car wrapped. Just give me a second to think of the name. It's escaping me, but get your car wrapped up, do the advertisements, put an extra $500 to go directly towards paying that car off. And if you have to do that for a few months, then picking up some gig work along that way, when it comes to like car deliveries, any way that you can utilize the car as an asset to get it to be paid off is what I would say. But you might find that renting the vehicle out, depending on what the year is, may be too old, but there are other ways to make money from that car. So I just wanted to add that.
I love that, Diamond. Thank you for that input. Thank you for that.
Okay, so I just logged on. I wanted to ask if it hasn't already been asked. What do you think of the California home crash? Do you think the home buyer market will crash soon?
Um, the home buyer market is already in the state of crashing. I mean, like, because the prices are going down, because right now the affordability for people with the interest rates are right now high. And so with the home prices being elevated the way they are, there's less people in the market that can afford it. But coming up around September, the Fed is pretty signaling that they may reduce the interest rates, and then that might be a better time for you to then look at purchasing a home in a place like California, because if the interest rates is lower, you can afford more of a home that is a higher price because the interest rates is lower and your monthly payment would be lower. So yeah, it's already saying they're already saying certain regions to the Sun Belt, like me and Diamond know, the home prices they actually have a large inventory of homes in certain areas because builders can't get enough people to qualify. So yeah, you're it's already in a decline now. Certain pockets like Jersey, California maybe too. It's like really, if you got that high demand and income, and it depend on where you probably at in California. If you're around San Francisco or that Bay Area, San Jose, it's probably, you got a lot of people that might can afford it. It just is what it is. But maybe Fresco, it might be a whole different situation versus LA and San Diego. Some of them places, it just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Jersey is like that. Actually, they say in Jersey the homes is undervalued, to be honest. And certain places, you know, you might want to think about. That's why a lot of people from California move into Arizona, uh, to Nevada, and what's Idaho, some of those other places. It's not Idaho or what? Yeah, Idaho. Yeah, a lot of people moving over there, and Texas. And just, I mean, if you really want a home, I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Depend on where you at, or you might have to commute a little further out in that California market. You might have to drive to your, where you're going. It just, it is kind of, it's just a tough market. Certain markets are just going to be tougher than than others. So if I really want a home, I might have to either move either way to commute or just move out. So that's the thing. But the home prices are coming down. I guess that's good news.
Last question that I see thus far from Queen D. I'm going to make this a two-part question, but do you offer help on writing letters for getting things removed off your credit to clean your credit report? Don't know if I'm using the right word. I just became disabled and I can't afford to pay. So could you explain the Elite Credit System for one, and then some of the free resources that we have for anyone that is wanting to dispute, but they're in a tough financial spot at this moment?
Well, with the Elite Credit System, it's $39.99 a month. And with that, the system would import your credit scores, and pretty much with a click of a button, it create the letters for you. A part of that, we have our meetings on Saturday. So I'm there with the group. If you need help or any questions in your situation, I'm able to see that to help you pretty much navigate on the things that you have going on. So that's one of our resources. We also have our packages, which is the DIY package. If you want the letters already kind of written out for you, that option is, and you can fill in that information. So that's it. That's a one-time fee, not a subscription. But If you have your negative items on your credit report and want to do it a free way, just review all 3 of your credit reports for those negative items. What you want to look for, anything that's not 100% accurate or 100% complete, then it should not be reported on your credit report. So what a lot of people think, well, I do owe it, is true, but under the FCRA, it still has to be 100% complete and accurate. So if you see little things like the date of last payment is off, and you see on Equifax it's a different date than TransUnion, it's all coming from one source. They're the one reporting the information. And if that date of last payment is different, then a lot of times that's them trying to re-age the debt, because that 7-year clock start from that date that you made that last payment. So if it's not accurate, they cannot report it. The date open. So you want to go through there and all 3, look at that negative item and see any inconsistencies, anything like balances, a lot of things you might see, even the limit that's incomplete. Like, like, hey, that was a $2,000 credit card, and they'll have on there like nothing there for a credit limit on that credit card. That's not complete reporting. It's lacking something. So you want to find the errors in that reporting. And if you want, you can handwrite a letter and just those things that you find, dispute it that way, drop that in the mail. But what I always suggest, send it certified mail, because if they don't investigate that within that 30 days, then they have to remove it. So you want to do that, send it certified. Also include a copy of your driver's license, a utility bill, and a copy of your social security card so they can verify you. Now, one of the things with my packages in the system, I have what's called an affidavit, because they play these games, and I tell people to get it notarized once. What you're swearing to with that affidavit, that I am who I say I am, and I went to an appointed person in my state who verified this, so they can't do those stall tactics. So those are one of the things I do suggest. But if you're just doing it on your own, it's not really necessary, but it is effective.
I also wanted to add, we do have, when it comes to if you're trying to dispute hard inquiries, we do have a free hard inquiry letter on our website. So you guys can either go to sherrybeckley.com and you will find it there, or you can click the link that is here in the comment section. And also, my mom is very generous with her wisdom and her information. So a lot of good information is in her videos. If you just type up Sherry Beckley collections, Sherry Beckley charge-offs, there's going to be a plethora of videos where, she doesn't hold back her information. So you can utilize those videos and everything in it as well to help you with your disputes, especially when you're just starting off.
Yeah, so that, and like I said, it costs, like my teacher used to say, it costs you nothing to pay attention. So if you just go through those videos and write it down. But I will say, though, the game is sold and not told. If you want some of the inside, yeah, my group, I'm going to give them more, because they're more in a close proximity. And honestly, I can't put everything on these YouTube streets, because some of these loopholes will be shut down. So you can't tell everything, because this is how a lot of these things are being shut down. You can't run your mouth on these streets with everything. So if you think the information is good, behind the scenes, the information is better. I'm just saying, it is what it is. Yeah, hey, you got your circle. You gonna give a certain relationship to my acquaintance and a certain relationship to my friends. And so the closer you get, the more you get to know somebody, or the more information you get for everybody.
Yep.
So you gotta make sure, if you also are part of the group, you're using everything. Show up to the meetings.
Yes.
People will tell you, I'm there. I'm going to be there at the meetings. Okay. Like, so, or even I work with my assistant, Kenesha, she's there, but majority of time, I'm going to be there. So that's the thing. So that's the thing. It's a lot of free good information. A lot of people got their credit score by the hacks I gave them, but at the same time, I ain't running my mouth like that, because certain hacks, if you tell it all, guess what? The loopholes ain't gonna be there. I'll be honest. You can't put everything out on Front Street. I'm for real. That's why a lot of y'all, um, a lot of and I ain't gonna lie, people been putting out good information, but y'all see, like with those credit cards, them banks catch on real quick. They're watching YouTube too. And you'll see you're not getting the approvals, and you wonder why, because if a video, imagine 10,000 people watch that video, and that's like a lower number for us, or 5,000 people. Everybody's going in that day, putting in those applications. And certain institutions, especially like credit unions, they're not like a Chase. They don't have the systems in place to vet everybody out. And a lot of people been not paying that stuff, running off with a bag, and they just shut it down. So everything you can't just put on Front Street, because if you do, it don't work anymore. So that's just what it is. Yeah. And somebody said, yeah, the secrets is out. So you see a lot of those hacks. If you don't jump it, wade in the water real quick, child, you ain't gonna get it. And it's not, and people be like, oh, it didn't work. Cause I seen other people. I'm like, nah, that worked. Y'all just pulled up too late. Just think about it. Everybody there. What Casanat did when he made that announcement, everybody showed up. What, with a free Xbox? What was he giving out? Something.
I think a free, yeah, something. It caused the right. Yeah.
People gonna show up. That's essentially when people give you this information on these things, everybody just like that is showing up. And then the bank like, what the heck is going on? And a lot of folk getting themselves in trouble. A lot of people getting in trouble. No, I'm for real. A lot of people is getting in trouble. Child of feds be on folk. They do. They getting in trouble, child. That be no. So that's all I'm just telling y'all. You just gotta get it quick. A lot of this stuff, and people get upset. And it's not me. I pretty much tell, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, information, I'm gonna gauge what, child, I don't want to be involved in all the extra. But I ain't got time for it. But I'm just telling you, that's what's going on. I'm being, somebody said too legit to quit. Exactly. And some people giving out some game, but it can get them and you in trouble. Yeah, it could be borderline. It might not be all. Some folk getting in trouble. I will tell you just straight up, some people have gotten in trouble. Okay. And for a click and a view, sometimes it's not always worth it, like for a click and a view. And maybe they don't know. A lot of people, getting traction, but sometimes all money ain't good money. You know how that is. So yeah.
Well, we're coming up on that 2-hour mark. And so if you guys want more information and you want your questions answered, your personal situations assessed, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but if you want a strategic plan for yourself personally, please join the Elite Credit System every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You get to talk with Sherry. You get to tell her about your credit related issues and get a personalized plan for your situation. Also, we will be back here, God willing, next Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we are here. So if you have any questions, you can either save it for next time, or you could also shoot us an email at howtoboostyourcredit@gmail.com.
And I'm going to land on this. I don't know about y'all, but me and Diamond went to an event last year. You'll know what I'm talking about. And I said, I said, Diamond, when we get there, this going to have to turn into something, right? I was like, what we invest in here? Oh, what we did, we got a plan. I got her, my youngest daughter came with us, and we split up. You want to do this? You want to talk to her? Sometimes if y'all getting everything for free, you're not motivated enough because you don't value it. I guarantee when you pay for something, a lot of y'all value it more, and for your own self, you're more serious because you paid for it. And my husband will say, like being in the military, and I know I'm using it wrong, but lottie-dottie everybody. Some of y'all is lottie-dottie because it's out here for free. And what happens is you're missing an opportunity because it came free and it's not valued. You don't put fire under yourself because it costs you nothing. But let me tell you, when something costs you, sometimes you going to lock and load. Like, look, I just got to come back. I swear, this got to turn into, did we not turn it into something because we invested some money into it? And just landing on, let me say this. A lot of y'all, when I say very talented, and me and Diamond, when we coach on the business side, a lot of y'all don't know the money you sitting on your talent. You're being given away your talent away too much that you don't respect it and other people don't. But they clearly know what your value is. And you need to sometime know when you should not give out things for free, because people will play with your time because you're not serious about what you're doing. And one thing is, you got cousins, you got people that come to you for a certain thing. A lot of people, if you ask yourself, what was the question that we would Diamond, when people ask you for advice or something to do for them, they're coming in a particular area, and you don't know that that's your value because it just came naturally to you. You gave it out for free. You ain't valuing what you really giving out. And that might be the thing that's making you that's supposed to make you a millionaire. And Steve Harvey, I got that from him. He said, I could always make people laugh. And I never took it serious. But that's the things that made him a millionaire. A lot of times it's the thing that come easiest to you. And because you always had it, it came easy. You just thought it was nothing to it. Diamond would tell you this about talking about business. This is just who I am. And a lot of people, that my family, they don't want to hear it. They tired because that's just who I am naturally. And so it didn't have value to them because it's just who I am. And I'm their family. Not that make them bad people, but that's just that person. You know what I'm saying? So I never valued what I was giving out. I had the knowledge. They'll come to me, hey, I need to do this with my credit. And I'll tell, that's simple. Because it came naturally to me. But until my friend told me, and then I put this video out here. Remember, Diamond, it went viral. And I'm like, what? People don't know this. And sometimes I will sit there, and in the group today, somebody like, no, people don't, certain things, but I will, because it's just been something I'm doing. Like, and I matter of fact, in the group, people told me they didn't know what Turo was. I thought everybody knew Turo. You know what I'm saying? Maybe because I'm in the information space, I'm with Diamond, and she'll tell me, and then I'll learn about things. I just thought everybody heard of Turo. Hire car, maybe not, but but I was like, really? Y'all don't know what Turo is? So sometimes a lot of y'all is so matter of fact to you, what you're good at, you don't realize its value to it. So I want y'all to think about that same thing. You're sitting on something that you're really good at, that you might not be doing at work, but that thing that you're negating, that thing that everybody come to you for, that meal or that cake, that's what happened to Sarah Lee. She just was working at a diner, and it was a cake, a pie she made, and that's all. People started coming in there for that pie. That one thing everybody asks you for, that's where your money at. But you're neglecting it. And this is what we're telling you today. It was a lady in Jersey going into foreclosure. She cooked some kind of cake she started, and she saved her house. You remember that story, Diamond? She saved her house. She got out of foreclosure just by selling her cakes. It could be something like that y'all sitting on. And I know for everybody, it is something like that y'all sitting on. And you're not paying attention to it because you do it for free and it comes so easy to you. And if you get into that, just like with me, I know about credit stuff in my sleep. That's that oil that never runs out. Like that with the widow woman, what you have in your house, what oil, what gift and talent God gave to you. You know so much about it. You can do it in your sleep. And nobody can beat you doing it because that's who you are. Please get your house in order, examine it, invest in yourself. Some things you need to pay for. That might be your personality, or you might not be taking it seriously because it's coming for free. And people might not be taking what you got value in because you giving it out for free. Know your self-worth, value yourself. And I'll land there. Okay. And that's why I said, we've been saying, invest in yourself. Okay. Investing, and said, thank you, my mama and her carrot cakes. I tried to tell her. You see what I'm saying? And it's some people that's going to their grave with some of those recipes and they refuse to write it down. And it could be look at Patti LaBelle and them pies. Patti sang. We ain't know, look at them dang on potato pies. What they did for Patti. We all know, if only you knew. That's all we knew. We ain't know Patti knew how to make a pie. Patti Pies is making her how much, Diamond? How much is Patti Pies? Patti been sitting on them pies forever.
A couple million, yeah.
Forever. And I bet you Patti making more money off those pies. George Foreman made more money off the grill than he did boxing.
Yeah.
Grilling vanilla, child. A lot of y'all sitting on something. And like she said, her mama carrot cake. Mama might supposed to be a millionaire, pass that recipe on to you and the whole family. Supposed to be Ford. Supposed to be Sarah Lee. That's supposed to be y'all generational wealth. But because we just give it away and we're not valuing ourselves, we just give away. Folks, can you make me that carrot cake, miss, ma'am? Oh, baby, I'll make it. And they ain't even giving you the eggs or none of the money to go and pick up the groceries to make the cake. We just give it away. You know what I'm saying? We just give it away. And you don't know that's really where your money is. You know, so I hope that encouraged somebody. And somebody said, don't forget, what is that? Colonial, what is that? Colonial? My eyes.
About KFC.
Oh, KFC. Colonel, yeah, exactly. McDonald's, I think, was one. All right, didn't one brother do it for the other brother? The other one down here, the Dutch Brothers Coffee. Dutch Brother Coffee. It is so many things that your family, like I said, enemy could be stopping you. You are the one that's supposed to bring wealth in your family. And a lot of cultures talk about that. A lot of cultures. I even talked to a lady, I don't want to mess up. That was doing my nails that's Asian. And that's what she was saying. It's just certain people in the family, they know is destined to bring in wealth for the family. And that's why I said work together. Look at the talents that you have y'all have everything you already need to survive. That's it. Us mothers, God gave us the baby, but he put the milk in you to support the baby. You ain't have to get it outside of you, but we just choose to spend money. But everything y'all need is already in you. So I hope that's encouraging. And we thank you guys for joining us. And don't forget to invest in yourself. All right. Enjoy your night,
Have a
everyone.
wonderful night, everyone.
Bye bye. See you next week.